Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Paul, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. It's a Sunday night. No Steeler football, but that'll happen tomorrow night in Cincinnati. But we have other issues to talk about today, and we will look ahead to that game and your thoughts about the Bengals and the Steelers, a desperate Cincinnati team against the Steeler team, which has given up a lot of big plays down the field against now a quarterback like Andy Dalton, who's having really a good year when you consider that he's had a lot of things not go his way. Like, for example, Tyler Eifert out for the season at the beginning of the year. Tyler Boyd missed a month of the season. Now he's back, a running game which just hasn't clicked, and a sporadic offensive line. Yet he has a better quarterback rating than Ben Roethlisberger. He has 18 touchdowns, 8 picks. And he's capable of beating you down the field if you allow that to happen. It'll be one of the things we certainly focus on tomorrow night when the Steelers play at Paul Brown Stadium. They're favored by 5, but they've had their moments there, and they've also lost some games there. We'll find out what the Steelers can do against a team that is really good in the red zone. One thing about the Bengals, they tighten up as they get closer to their own goal line. They are number 1 in the NFL in that department. So the Steelers are going to have to come up with plays, and they may have to do it without Antonio Brown. If so, who would you look to? Who do you think needs to step up big time? My selection obviously has to be Martavis Bryant, but I think you'll see a lot of plays go in the direction of Le'Veon Bell because the last time they played, the Steelers gave him the ball a lot. He rushed for 134 yards. He also had 60 yards in the pass game, and we've seen that grow until last week where he had 12 receptions against Green Bay. In that game against Cincinnati, he had 192 yards from scrimmage. I would expect him to carry a heavy workload tomorrow. That's what happens in these sorts of situations. But I also want to see Martavis Bryant, who should understand this is one of those games he needs to step up. If you remember when the Steelers played Denver out there in one of the playoff games that I thought they could have won, if not for the fumble that we saw by Fitzgerald Toussaint. But in that game, Martavis Bryant stepped up because Antonio Brown couldn't play because he suffered that concussion the game before. Well, he was pretty good. He was one of their best receivers in that game, best receivers on the field, in fact. So he's been in those moments before. He's going to have to be one of those guys tomorrow. Steelers play again without Joe Hayden, and that's hurt them, no doubt. But another guy who may not play is Mike Mitchell. And for those of you who have problems with his tackling, one thing he does do in a game like this, he hits hard, and he brings a fear in that secondary. And I think that's a big part of what they try to do with the Steelers on defense, and he may not be able to play. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. And Rich Walsh will be there in Cincinnati, have a live report for us tomorrow at 5 and 6, and then a kickoff at 8:30 on Monday Night Football. We saw today New England win again, and what's new with them? My goodness, they just keep on rolling on. And Tom Brady is 27-3 in his career against the Buffalo Bills. They won with ease again today, 23-3. Buffalo, one week looks okay, then falls apart. Just a bad organization, it looks like, year in and year out, and they just can't figure out the right moves to make. Not as bad as Cleveland, which, by the way, now has the longest run of futility in NFL history. You remember the Tampa Bay Bucks when John McKay was their head coach there, and he had that famous quote that at a press conference someone said, "Hey, John, hey, coach, what do you think about your team's execution?" And he paused and said, "I'm all for it." Remember how they started and went through an entire season without a win? Well, they, over the course of 28 games, were outdone by Cleveland. They are 1-27 in their last 28 games, the Cleveland Browns, and they lost again today. What will happen next in Cleveland? So a lot of interesting stuff. The Ravens win again. They look pretty good in doing so, 44-20, although they lost Jimmy Smith. He may be out for the season with an Achilles injury, so that hurts them as they come to Pittsburgh next week. And if the Steelers should lose tomorrow, that game next week is big in advance of the New England game. So we have a lot to talk about there. The Penguins had the day off today, and they're coming off another win against Buffalo. Back-to-backers combined 9-1 in the last 2 games against the Sabres. They did a very good job against that team. And Tristan Jarry, 22 years of age, looking very mature and confident in goal. And, boy, you talk about an embarrassment of riches in goal. The Penguins get rid of Marc-Andre Fleury and still have 23-year-old two-time Stanley Cup champ Matt Murray, and now Tristan Jarry, who looks like he could be also a number 1. I know it's early, but still, he shows you that he has the ability and also the temperament, I think, to be one of those kind of goaltenders. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, a report came out tonight by Adam Berry of MLB, covering the Pirates here, that the Pirates are no longer in the Ohtani sweepstakes. I never thought they were in it to begin with. just the financial trappings of that. They've never shown signs of spending $20 million on a team just to get the rights to talk to a player, so I don't think that's much of a surprise. But it is Pirate Fest week. If you're going down, it'll be at PNC Park this coming Saturday. And I'd like to see, the response and what people are saying about the Pirates right now, because there hasn't been much of the offseason moves, and we'll see if that changes in any time soon. We have a lot to get into, so call us at 412-575-2600. That's your number right here on the Bordas & Bordas hotline. Bordas & Bordas, always fighting for justice. We'll be back with those comments and more right after this on Pittsburgh CW.